Hello YouTube, this is Hybrid0027.
And this is White Sheep.
Yes, so we're back with another comic book versus, and this time it is Nightwing versus Winter Soldier. Very similar characters, abilities obviously they're similar, their background's really similar too. But if you follow how we do our show, we do it by facts, not by like what the fan says or what the author wants it to be. We do it by the facts of the character. So I guess I'll turn over to White Sheep.
And considering this is, we had Batman versus Captain America recently. We figured this would be a pretty good matchup, as these are their, both successors and their former sidekicks and their successors at one point or another. Last time you guys said that Deadpool beat Deathstroke by 3-2, or was it?
Yeah, it's like a 3-2 ratio.
3-2 ratio. So now it's tied 1-1. Me and Josh both having one victory.
Yes.
So we'll see how it goes this time. I'm going to be taking the side of Bucky, Winter Soldier, and Hybrid0027 will be taking Nightwing.
Yeah.
So let's do this. Alright, so Winter Soldier's real name is James Buchanan Barnes, also known as Bucky, and he's a little bit about his origin. He served with Captain America in World War II. His father was killed in a training accident on a military base, and the base just decided to keep Bucky on as kind of a camp mascot. Now, after he was trained in hand-to-hand combat by the military, and he received special training, they decided to kind of make him an agent when he became of age, and they assigned him to work with the young Private Steve Rogers, who at that point had just become Captain America. And that's how they kind of formed their partnership. Now, Captain America ended up frozen. They've kind of changed that origin story a couple different ways. If you watch the animated movies or some comic books, or the movie that just came out this year. Then also that kind of adds to Bucky's thing, because he has died in multiple ways as well in the different origin stories. I think in the movie he died or was frozen by falling into the ravine in it was Switzerland.
I want someplace up there.
Falling into a ravine in the mountains, and that they did not say it froze him or it killed him. They kind of left that open-ended. But in actuality, in the comic books, the accepted origin story has become that they were seeking out a drone plane that could be used for various, evil purposes by the Nazis or Hydra, and Bucky accidentally got snagged on it and it blew up. Now, after that, following the explosion, he fell into the ocean and met the same fate as Steve Rogers, freezing, but was uncovered by a Russian submarine instead of by the American forces, and became kind of a sleeper cell agent, and they cryogenically froze him to preserve his, to keep him from aging, and that's why he's been in comic books for over 70 years. Now a little bit about his skills and powers. He's a master martial artist, highly skilled in stealth, assassination, communication, espionage, acrobatics, marksmanship, and he has peak human conditioning because he's been a secret agent for all these years. Now, for his equipment, he uses a bulletproof suit, knives, various different kinds of guns, and other gear. Now, he's really... I'd like to bring up the fact that he uses guns, whereas Nightwing does not, and that's kind of, I guess, up for you to decide how guns would exactly work in a fight like that. I also feel like a big point to bring up is Bucky's bionic arm, since it's actually having a cybernetic bionic arm could be both a help and a hindrance. If somehow Nightwing was able to knock that out, that would really hinder him, and suddenly it would be a one-armed fight. But I feel like if Nightwing was unable to knock that arm out, then you've got a mechanical arm that's probably much stronger than his regular arm versus Nightwing. I feel like Bucky holds the advantage just due to the fact that his bionic arm is apparently updated. It's updated as time continues, as technological advancements become available. So I feel like at this point he'd probably have something to protect it from EMPs. He also is able to use EMPs, which is another thing that kind of tells you that his arm is resistant to EMPs. A little bit about some feats that he's performed. In the past, he's fought Captain America. I don't think he's won, but he fought Captain America several times, or not actually just once when he was a secret agent. And other than that, he's beaten the Red Skull multiple times. He's tracked down various Hydra operatives throughout the comic books. He fought Wolverine at one point. I don't think that was ever really decided in favor of who won that, but I feel like just given the training he has, he may not be as expert an acrobat as Dick Grayson is, because Dick Grayson's parents were acrobats. I do feel like Bucky has the edge just in terms of sheer military training, and the fact that just the sheer training he received through the army, I think, has made him a little more deadly than Nightwing. I think you might see that's where Batman's like no killing thing kind of hinders Nightwing, and that it was passed on from Batman to Nightwing.
Okay, so Nightwing, a little bit about him is that he is Batman's first Robin, and considered by most to be his like protege, like the real deal, so to speak. As if like if Batman ever were to permanently die or give up his title, as it's already happened countless times, Dick Grayson would become the new Batman. And his real name is Richard John Grayson. He's just commonly referred to as Dick because that's short for Richard, kind of like how Bucky, his real name is James, but he's called Bucky. And some of his abilities, skills, powers, so to speak, is he's a master detective, master martial artist. He has peak level conditioning. He's an Olympic level acrobat, highly skilled in marksmanship with like weapons, so to speak, tracking, stealth, escaping, disguise, strategy, communications systems, and also, like I said earlier, weapons usage. And with that, I think he has a pretty big advantage over Winter Soldier, as like yes, they're both peak human conditioning and they're both master martial artists and marksman and all those other things, but Nightwing has the speed and agility that I don't think Winter Soldier has, and that's a great advantage for him because and also with his abilities being trained by Batman and in the field in general. White Sheet made a great point. His Winter Soldier's bionic arm is constantly being upgraded as technology is advanced and everything. So it could be so that his arm couldn't be taken out with the simple EMP, but I'm pretty sure Nightwing would like analyze Winter Soldier, and like his arm and find like a weak point, because chances are there might be one, even though it's probably very slim.
I do agree with Hybrid there, I think that's the one thing that, like, if you talk about Winter Soldier's training with like the military and his kind of ruthlessness, really, then you look at Nightwing, and I think that's the one thing Nightwing has that Winter Soldier doesn't have is his analytical skills that he received from training from Batman. But I mean, as far as talking about being trained by Batman in the field, well, Winter Soldier was trained by Captain America in the field, and yeah, it's one of those things where they are very similar characters, but they do differ in some ways, and that's what we're examining.
Yes, and this really goes back to our Captain America Batman versus we did before, where we're talking about one fights really to kill and take you down for good, and the other one fights to like knock you out, break a few bones, maybe just something to make sure that you don't get back up for a while.
I mean, Captain America though, he's not really about killing. If you look, he's almost like a Superman-esque Boy Scout character, really, in terms of, I mean, but Winter Soldier's ruthlessness really comes from being a Russian secret agent and assassin for so many years. I mean, one of his assignments was to kill Wolverine's wife, and That's why he, like I said, he fought Wolverine, because he actually assassinated Wolverine's wife.
Yeah. So that comes into play, obviously. You have very good strategy, both parts, but maybe Winter Soldier has the edge on strategy because the fact that he's been playing out very complicated things for various generations on very high profile targets too, while Nightwing doesn't even get to do that. Maybe he gets to do some strategy against high profile people every once in a while, but not to the certain point that Winter Soldier does, where it's perfect executing of, killing this person, or make sure that you're at this place at this time so that there's no interference, like, so to speak, with that. And equipment Nightwing has is his suit, obviously, the mask has a built-in communication system in it. He has gauntlets, boots, just really simple things for protection, and also his boots, and that's what he wears, like boots, shoes, simple things. He also has Screama sticks, 100,000 volt stun gun, batarangs, batarang kind of things, but specifically for him that he calls wingdings, but they do the same thing, and smoke and tear gas pellets. And honestly, me and Whitesheet were talking about this, and we are like, you can't really have Winter Soldier fight Nightwing without allowing Nightwing to use his gadgets because of Winter Soldier's bionic arm. So, with that said, I think that, honestly, Nightwing would barely, and I mean barely, win this if we're going by the facts and the stats. Because the truth of it is, yes, Winter Soldier has the bionic arm, which has super strength in it and durability and all these extra features, but what's to say that all really Nightwing has to do is mess with some physiological aspect of, well, I feel like I just made up a word by saying that.
Physiological?
Yeah, but all he has to do is just mess up something in his body, because his bionic arm operates through his body, more specifically his nerves and mental suggestion, so to speak. So,
and much like the Captain America Batman fight, this one would really come down to, well, when you were talking, let me just set up with Hybrid was talking about how taking out his arm would really be the end for Winter Soldier. Well, this is one thing where you could examine fighting style. Nightwing inherited his fighting style from Batman, that very kind of almost the punch counter punch thing, where like it's a much more graceful style than the Captain America and Winter Soldier, just brute force, sheer, like, just straight up punch you in the face.
Yeah, Winter Soldier would hit first.
And that's one of those things where taking out his arm, yeah, you could take out his arm, but then I know one-armed fighting is a lot harder, but what's to say that he wouldn't, do some kind of, like, a more wrestling type move, because that's, the Captain America, Winter Soldier, much more Western style is what I'm saying, because Nightwing and Batman both run on that kind of Eastern, more martial arts style of fighting. And of course, we've seen what the brute force brawler kind of fighting can do, given the Bane and Batman matchup. That's another discussion for
another time. And yeah, so I think it also depends who hits first. I feel like Winter Soldier would probably be the type of person in this fight that would attack first, and Nightwing would be the one to counter it. But it does play a good point, like who's gonna get the first hit, because that can really tip the scales. And also, all I do is really, for Nightwing, he's a lot of agility and speed, which honestly I don't feel that Winter Soldier has on him. But Winter Soldier would probably have more of the, like, you get hit by him, you are going to feel it kind of thing. Like, that's what I'm saying, who hits first, because if Winter Soldier just hits Nightwing right, that could just be it. Like, that could just be enough, like, damage to Nightwing, or just enough to knock the wind out of him, which would give Winter Soldier the time to finish it up, so to speak, if he chooses to. And same for Nightwing. If, let's say, he does somehow take out Winter Soldier's bionic arm, I doubt Winter Soldier would suspect that to happen, as it's been constantly upgraded, and no doubt upgraded by S.H.I.E.L.D. and Tony Stark and very high up there people with technology. So I doubt he would see that coming. And also just the fact that these are both very, very skilled characters, and overall I think if you were to put them in a room randomly against each other, it'd be a tie.
That's why we received, just going back to what Hybrid was just saying, we received, a kind of comment, a suggestion from a mutual friend of ours that was, well, it really, for some of these fights, it would come down to location, just because of the similarity in terms of, who they are and what they do. Where the fight was would really make a difference. If it was like, just a fighting arena, like a neutral ground, that's, one thing to consider. But if it was like a crowded street full of people, if it was
a shadowy area,
yes, if it was a dark area,
obviously that would go to Nightwing. That's his habitat, really. He's used to it. Same thing with Winter Soldier, with various large areas. Like, I feel like you give him a more condensed area, Nightwing would have a huge advantage.
I'll be like in a closer area, because then, they can't, Winter Soldier wouldn't be able to use his, his weapons and stuff a lot much easier. But who knows? But a lot of it depends on location, and that's one thing we're trying to set aside here for at least this battle, is just on a neutral ground.
Yeah.
Given the stats, what would happen?
Yeah, don't think too deep into it.
But
please.
Really, just so, I mean, we've given our cases.
Yes.
I guess now it's time for you to decide. Like we mentioned earlier, you guys last time said that Deadpool would beat Deathstroke. Thanks for that, because now me and Hybrid are tied.
Yes.
So, just when you're considering this, we will have some kind of site with voting up later, but right now we don't have that, fully up to date yet. I guess, yeah, so still just comment with who you think would win, message Hybrid, and we'll reveal the results in 2 weeks, as we have been doing. Comic Book Buzz, or Comic Book Talk, has our new...
Buzz is something else.
Comic Book Talk has our new kind of mid-week show, our new little extra mini show. It's been getting a lot of attention, I think, but
yeah, good stuff.
we're going to keep working on that.
Yeah.
Also, Hybrid has recently written a series of excellent editorials over at comicbookmovie.com. That's a page we're getting a lot of traffic on right now. So if you have the time this week and you've already watched this video and our Comic Book Talk videos and you're looking for just something more, go check those out.
Yeah, because I happen to go a lot more in depth with writing it as speaking it. And also, the next one will be about the Captain Marvel Superman debate, like who really copied who, so to speak. We're gonna go like with the history, like which aspects of it came first.
It goes back to that lawsuit versus Fawcett Comics versus DC back in the 1940s, I believe.
Yeah, around that time, 40s, 50s. And White Sheep will be writing that, so give him support and everything. He's gonna do well at it. Obviously, he knows his comics and knows history and all this great stuff. Or else none of us would be doing this right here.
Yeah.
And
just thank you for your continued support, and I guess that is it.
Yeah, but like I think one thing. Yeah, don't forget to subscribe, comment, like the videos, and watch them, and tell your friends to watch them, and good stuff. And also, we're gonna start a new show where we talk about like stuff in the business, like releases and like updates on things called Comic Book Buzz. So
and
stay forward to that.
As we inch closer to blockbuster comic book movie season, you'll definitely see some more of that as news of Batman, the Avengers, as all that stuff comes out. So yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
All right, yeah, bye.